college basketball is still trying to navigate what to do following a bombshell report from Yahoo detailing potential violations from some of the top teams and players in the sport over the recent years. Now the head coach of Arizona has been caught up in this scandal. FBI wiretaps intercepted telephone conversations between Arizona coach Sean Miller and Christian Dawkins, a key figure in the FBI's investigation into college basketball corruption. According to ESPN, Miller allegedly discussed paying $100,000 to ensure star freshman DeAndre Ayton signed with the Wildcats. For more on this, we have Bill Reiter, the host of Reiter's Block on CBS Sports HQ, joining us. First off, Bill, I just want to say congratulations for multiple things. But first of all, it's your birthday, so happy birthday.
Thank you.
And congratulations on the new show.
Thanks. We're really excited.
Very, very exciting. We'll get to more of that. But what is the status of Sean Miller right now?
It's a great question. At least as far as we know, he has not been fired, though a report just came out a few minutes ago that he's not traveling back from Eugene, Oregon, where Arizona played their last game with the team, whether that's because he's avoiding the discomfort of being around his players or they're his former players, we don't know. But there's certainly a groundswelling of thought around college basketball that he will not be the head coach at Arizona for very much longer.
Now, this current investigation into the NCAA strikes at the very heart of college recruiting. It affects so many players and coaches, the rest of it. What has the response been?
Yeah, I think it's incredible fear. And even last week, there were some sources I was talking to who were hoping that perhaps this investigation would be limited. And then this news about Sean Miller broke, and several of those folks texted me back, I was wrong, you were right, the media's right. This is a dilemma that may not have an end in sight for college basketball.
This feels bigger than the past scandals, then.
I think it's the biggest scandal in the history of college basketball, maybe the biggest scandal in the history of college sports. Sean Miller is just one of 4,000 reported wiretaps. This could go on and on.
So how has the NCAA been responding?
It depends. I mean, the head of the NCAA, Mark Emmert, has said what you're supposed to say, which is that they take these allegations if serious extremely seriously, if true extremely seriously, and they're going to address it, and there's no place in the sport. But there are a lot of people, frankly, in the sport, outside of the sport, who have rolled their eyes at the NCAA's response. And there's an argument whether or not the organization itself is complicit in what is clearly a major problem that extends to a whole bunch of programs, well-known programs. In Sean Miller's case, we now know major head coaches, big-time stars. Shaquille O'Neal's son was supposed to play at Arizona. He decommitted. So it is a scandal that everyone is trying to wrap their arms around and avoid.
It's huge. And the NCAA tournament is just weeks away. How will this affect the tournament, do you think?
It's a really good question. A lot of players have not played. San Diego State, as they conducted their own investigation, one of their players, their leading scorer, was indicated in some of these reports. He sat out. We know DeAndre Ayton, who's an amazing player, has been cleared by his own school earlier in the year. They've been very comfortable to play him. The reality is that if you play someone who it turns out down the line did something that violates these rules, you forfeit all of the games they played in. You forfeit every moment of March Madness. So it's this incredible dark cloud, not just over the reputation of the sport, but over who can play, who should play, what will the outcome be in March Madness. It's a quickly developing and very ugly story.
You know, some commentators and some sports lovers have advocated for just blowing the whole system up and, you know, why not pay college athletes? Why not?
I mean, there will be many people throwing things at their streaming device right now, but I think that absolutely amateurism needs to come to an end. If you talk to people around the sport, it's a huge divide and a huge schism in the sport. The reality is that Sean Miller stands to, even if the buyout, make $5–10 million in money being bought out, fired for cause. That speaks to the fact that, at least for the coaches and for some of the people who it turns out were runners, the FBI investigating some of those folks, it's not amateur athletics for them, it's pro athletics. And you're right, I think that's a conversation that will gain some momentum in the weeks ahead.
I mean, certainly money is being made on college athletics, and it stands to reason that those college athletes get some of that money.
Hundreds of millions of dollars. I have been in the homes and the cars of both major college coaches and NCAA officials, and I can tell you, at least in those cases, they're living pretty high on the hog. Life is pretty good, and they do a great job earning what they earn. But there is certainly, I think, a sense of unfairness that the young people that they're coaching, the actual talent on the floor, does not get to have any of that. And more than that, if you do take a little bit of money, in some of these cases it's $2,000 alleged, in some of these cases it's obviously $100,000, but if you take that money, you can forfeit your opportunity to really have this sort of tryout for the NBA. It can impact your future.
Sure. I mean, in some ways, it's almost the problem seems to be because college athletics are tied to a university. That's where the problems start, you know, because it's tied to academics.
Right.
And then in some ways, it makes you wonder if they should just have a college-level league.
They should.
That's separate from universities.
And the NBA has pushed that. Mark Cuban has pushed that.
Yeah,
the problem becomes, like, let's be honest, there's a lot of money in it for the conferences.
Right. And for
there's
the
a lot
colleges.
of money for the colleges, for the players. But when you have any black market of any kind and you have a good that people want to go out and get, then you're going to have these nefarious ways that people provide that service. And it's a black market for so-called unpaid, really, really, really talented college basketball players.
And the sad truth is that an athlete's life is often a short life in terms of how much time they have to make money.
Yeah.
And those years are crucial.
They're totally, and not everybody makes it to the NBA. I mean, there are young men who do great in college, make their coaches, their schools, their boosters a whole bunch of money, go on to the NBA, and they fail, and they don't have much of a living as it relates to basketball. So certainly there's, at least from my perspective, and that I think of a lot of the more progressively minded people who love the sport but know it needs to change, there's an unfairness that this speaks to that needs to be addressed.
Absolutely. All right, so back to your birthday.
Yeah.
And another birthday.
Another one.
It's also so auspicious that you've got two things that are happening today that are so exciting. Tell us about your new show.
As my youth comes to an end, because I'm 40 today, a brand new streaming sports network modeled after CBSN, CBS Sports HQ. It launched this morning. It's a great, I think, way for folks for free OTT devices on their phone, on the app, Apple TV, Roku, all that good stuff. Can get the sports news they want, and I'll have an hour show on there weekdays at 4 Eastern. So more Bill. I don't know if you want more Bill Reiter, but it's out there.
Congratulations, Bill Reiter. We know we planned it for your birthday.
Perfect.
Just know that. Thank you so much for that.
You bet.